But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid.
I actually met with Zelenskyy a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries.
Former President Trump shows up Kamala Harris on the world stage by meeting with Zelenskyy after her press conference with Zelenskyy. And there is a huge contrast between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump as it pertains to this particular issue. So what we're going to do is take a look at both of these press conferences and talk about it. Let's start with Kamala Harris and how she had to read from a teleprompter to do this press conference with Zelenskyy. Yes, I know.
I share with you, Mr. President, there are some in my country who would instead force Ukraine to give up large parts of its sovereign territory, who would demand that Ukraine accept neutrality and would require Ukraine to forego security relationships with other nations. These proposals are the same of those of Putin. And let us be clear, they are not proposals for peace. Instead, they are proposals for surrender, which is dangerous and unacceptable.
Yeah, so as you could tell, she's standing next to the president of Ukraine, Zelenskyy, and she's having to read from her notes and a teleprompter to deliver this message. Now, this comes because Trump has criticized Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's handling of the Ukraine and Russia war. And listen, you don't need to be a political scientist. You don't need to really know everything about Ukraine or Russia to know what the bottom line is. And the bottom line is this. Putin decided to invade Ukraine under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's watch. That's fact number one. Fact number two, he did not do the same thing when Donald Trump was the president. Fact number three, over millions of people on both sides have died because of this war. Fact number four, even if we want to look at Putin as the worst thing in this world, sending this amount of money continuously to Ukraine is turning this war into what? It's called a proxy war. The United States of America is involved in a war. We just don't have soldiers on the ground. Support, money, weapons, ammo. I mean, we are doing everything that we would normally do if we were actually physically in the war, except for the soldiers. So, you know, the bottom line is this is a terrible time that this is happening, especially when economically and our immigration system is in shambles. So a lot of Americans are fed up with what's going on over there. And of course, Kamala Harris is playing political games by lying about what Trump's intentions are as it pertains to this war. She believes that Trump wants to take land away from Ukraine and give it to Putin in order to settle the war. There's never been one insinuation, one article, one statement that even supports that claim from Trump himself. He's always maintained the same statement repeatedly every time they ask him that millions of people are dying, and his main mission is to stop the war and save lives.
I will continue to stand with Ukraine, and I will work to ensure Ukraine prevails in this war. To be safe, secure, and prosperous, the United States must continue to fulfill our long-standing role of global leadership. We must stand with our allies and our partners. We must defend our democratic values and stand up to aggressors. And we must stand for international order, rules, and norms. Each one of these principles is at stake in Ukraine. And that is why Ukraine's fight matters to the people of America. The Ukrainian people are bravely defending their homes and their homeland, their freedom and their democracy against a brutal dictator.
Yeah, so a lot of what she said is what all politicians have been saying since we have continued to, I guess, be obsessed with war as a country. And I'm not saying me or you. I'm talking about the warmongers in Washington, D.C. And that's where we're at today with politics in our country. There is a uprising of people who don't want to see us overseas. Now, you could say this is the populist movement. You could say this is the MAGA movement, the America First agenda. They don't support foreign wars whatsoever. Now, let's not be naive here. Isolating our country from what's happening with the rest of the world, is that a long-term solution? Probably not, okay? We don't have to be that extreme as it pertains to what's happening with these other countries. I call for a more moderate and balanced approach. Listen, if you're going to send money to Ukraine, why are we doing that in the first place? Is it because we've tried everything before getting to this position? Or is it because you guys were weak to begin with, which motivated Putin to invade Ukraine? For example, when you guys withdrew from the Afghanistan war and they saw how weak leadership was in Washington, Putin knew, hey, these guys aren't really going to respond to me. They're not really going to do anything about this. The bottom line is what? When you look at her press conference and you compare it to Donald Trump, you truly see the difference in why Zelenskyy met with Donald Trump. Just think about it. What does that say about you as a candidate? That Zelenskyy is going to meet with former President Trump, that other world leaders have been meeting with President Trump. It's because they probably know that the strongest leader is former President Trump. And if he was to win, they want to maintain that relationship. So let's take a look at what Trump said with Zelenskyy.
Your thoughts on how this war should end, what you think should be done, or do you still stand by some of the previous statements?
Well, I learned a lot, but I think I haven't changed from the standpoint that we both want to see this end and we both want to see a fair deal made. And it's got to be fair. And I think that'll happen at the right time. I think it's going to happen. The president wants it to end, and he wants it to end as quickly as possible. He wants a fair transaction to take place. And I think, right now I'm campaigning, so right now I don't have much to do with it other than we're doing very well in terms of the campaign. And I've been saying that I believe if I win, we're going to have a very fair and I think actually rather rapid deal. It should stop, and the president wants it to stop. And I'm sure President Putin wants it to stop. And that's a good combination. So we want to have a fair deal for everybody.
What do you envision as fair?
Well, it's too early to say that. I mean, I have my own ideas, and I'm sure the president definitely has his own ideas, but it has to be fair.
This war shouldn't be started, and I think that the problem that Putin killed so many people, and of course we need to do everything to pressure him to stop this war, and he's on our territory. That is the most important to understand. He's on our territory, and how to stop the war, to pressure him as we can, we have to do it.
Now, notice something. Trump is not a politician. He's just going to tell you the bottom line, right? In layman's terms, this war needs to stop. And the only way we know it's going to stop is that everybody involved will get a fair deal in the end, meaning everybody's going to compromise in some way. And of course, Donald Trump is known to be a master salesman. There's no way he built the skyscrapers in New York and the hotels around the world and the golf clubs around the country without being a master salesman. So, of course, he's never going to say what he's going to do or at least elaborate on his strategy. That would be stupid, right? And so people mistake that strength of his as a weakness when really it's not. Why would I ever talk about what I'm going to do with something this crucial to the public? That's insanity. This is the other thing. You notice how Trump doesn't even need a teleprompter. You see, he's just get this. She does a press conference, takes no questions from the media, reads off a teleprompter, keeps it moving. Trump, on the other hand, meets with Zelenskyy privately, comes out, immediately starts answering questions. What else do you need to know? And what I find interesting, if we go back to the debate, she lied about her role in this war. And then, I guess without knowing, she admitted it, that she did speak to Zelenskyy 3 days before Putin invaded. So what does that say about her foreign policy experience? Watch this.
So you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelenskyy and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later.
I actually met with Zelenskyy a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelenskyy. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself.
Okay, so you did meet with Zelenskyy 3 days before. You did try to achieve peace between the two countries, and you did advise Zelenskyy. Isn't that what Trump just said? You see, it's funny that this wasn't even a talking point coming out of the debate. I guess to bring this entire video home about how Trump really showed what a president looks like and how he handles these other presidents, listen to how Zelenskyy described his meeting with Trump.
Any kind of future negotiations, Ukraine has to be strong. That's what about. We spoke with Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, and Congress of the United States. I don't know what will be after elections and who will be the president, because your country and your people is right, extremely right, that they decide who will be the president. But I've got from Donald Trump very direct information that he will be on our side, that he will support Ukraine. And there are so many details, I think, which he was very interesting to hear from me, directly from me.
Yeah, so the president of Ukraine is saying that Donald Trump is on their side, is saying that Donald Trump is very interested in helping them, enjoyed the meeting between them, but then Kamala Harris goes out and says Trump doesn't care about Ukraine. That's the manipulation that is coming from Kamala Harris. And then if you remember when Trump was answering the questions from Fox News, he didn't even rage against Kamala. He kept it about the war. He kept it about the people who've died. And she turned it more into a political stunt to, I guess, try to show up Trump. Americans, when it comes to this election, have two choices. They can go with a president who's already proven that they are not going to be the reason why new wars start. They're not going to have foreign adversaries getting a little crazy and a little ahead of themselves on their watch. They're going to keep our foreign adversaries on their tippy toes in a position where they fear our president. Now, that is former President Trump. Or the second choice is you go with Kamala Harris, who, along with Joe Biden, has shown that foreign adversaries are not scared of them whatsoever. That they've shown that they don't know how to handle foreign policy in the context of strength and peace, that they've allowed chaos to run rampant. Now, one example of that is the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Just absolutely embarrassing for our country. The money that they turned back over to Iran. That's absolutely crazy. And understand this about Iran, by the way. Iran has tried to take out an American citizen, a former president of this country, not once but twice, and other times. They've already sent in attack teams on our soil. You don't hear a press conference from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris about this. You hear no threats from them. Nothing. They are silent on this issue. And then Hamas and Hezbollah and all these other terrorist organizations, they are now funded because of our failures with foreign policy as it pertains to Iran. And then Putin, he got ahead of himself. He knows Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they're not going to do anything. You think Putin is scared of Kamala Harris? You think our foreign adversaries are scared of Kamala Harris? Absolutely not. So as I wrap up this video, as it pertains to foreign policy, I would rather have my top leader, my commander-in-chief, be someone where foreign leaders see our commander-in-chief and say, well, I think we need to think twice about that. And at the same time, that commander-in-chief can have a secretary of state who knows how to negotiate peace and things of that nature. I don't see why we can't achieve both at the same time. What do you guys think about this video and Kamala Harris's teleprompter performance with Zelenskyy, and she refused to take any questions again, and that Trump didn't make it a spectacle? He took questions. He was off the cuff with it, and he gave us the bottom line. He wants to save lives. He didn't give a political message. So let me know what your thoughts are and more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.